Ant-Man
and the Wasp.
Going to be awesome diving into this. This is going to be our spoiler talk. So if you still haven't seen it and you want a spoiler-free review, click this little icon that's going to be popping up above here and check out my spoiler-free review. Right now, though, we're digging deep with those spoilers. Did you like this movie? Let us know in the comments. Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin.
I'm Daniel.
And we are excited to dive into Ant-Man and the Wasp. Full-on spoiler talk, getting into the nitty-gritty of this movie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We just had a blast with it, didn't we?
We really did. We really did. Got everything we wanted from this movie, and nothing we didn't, actually.
Yeah. It's called Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yes.
So now we've added the Wasp, Hope Van Dyne as the Wasp to this. What did you think of Evangeline Lilly as the Wasp?
I love Evangeline Lilly in this role.
Oh, yeah.
I love her as the Wasp. I love how capable she comes across, how no-nonsense she is about things. I love that she's able to balance the idea that somewhere between the first movie and this one, we missed a chapter.
Yes.
There was this missing chapter where she and Scott were actually training together, where Scott was getting really good at being the Ant-Man, and she's just kick tail as the Wasp.
Yeah.
I'm a little curious as to what those adventures are. There's a whole bunch of like Marvel shorts that could happen in there.
I would love to see that.
I would love to see those. I love that I love how she plays the part. She hits every beat. She does everything spot on. I honestly can't say a bad thing about her in this role. She is perfect in this role.
I said in my spoiler-free review that I think Paul Rudd has done for Ant-Man what Robert Downey Jr. did for Iron Man. Like, he just brought an amazing life to it, and then adding Hope now into the mix, like, the chemistry between those two was just so flippin' good. And like you said, I loved that they made you want to know more about that history that we missed. Yeah. So right before he gets recruited and goes to help Cap, you know, they had some pretty cool adventures going on. They had some really cool training going on.
Right.
And then they did a really good job of, you know, getting us from Captain America, Civil War, to now.
Right.
You know, without doing a ton of flashbacks, but just saying, nope, he cut a deal, so he's been under house arrest for 2 years. And that was something they did a great job with. The fact that he had 3 days left and then his house arrest was going to go.
Right.
And if he broke a rule, he goes to prison for 20 years.
Right.
And when Hope comes and knocks him out and he wakes up in a van, and I was, seriously, my palms were sweating. Like, I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, no! I mean, I know what you guys want is super important, but just wait. Just wait 3 days because he can lose his daughter for 20 years.
And then you find out that 3 days can't work. They can't wait 3 days.
No, yeah.
They just can't because they've got this window of opportunity that is less than the 3 days in order to get the original Wasp back.
Yes.
Spoiler, duh. And this window of opportunity will close before his 3 days are up.
Yes.
Because it closes before the movie ends. And the movie ends pretty much with him getting his ankle bracelet taken off, and yay, everybody's happy. It's wonderful. There's some really great stuff happening there. I was surprised by how great the chemistry was between Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Douglas.
That was really good.
I loved how well they played off of each other, how you got to look at...
And it was such a short time, and it was so good.
Yeah, and you really got a feel for this is a couple that was madly in love with each other. This is a couple that worked together, that fought together, that saved each other's bacon more than once.
Oh, yeah.
You get the feeling that they were this... I'm going to steal from DC here.
You steal.
They were a dynamic duo. They really were. And
that's some good stealing. I like it.
It's the more appropriate use of it because they are a duo. They fit together. They mesh. They complement each other. They wear each other's hard edges. They're a great couple, and you can see that even in the brief time that we get with the original Wasp with Janet Van Dyne and Hank Pym, watching the two of them play off of each other and seeing how they operate.
Well, a testament to Michael Douglas's acting. So that really hilarious scene where because now Scott and Janet are quantum entangled and she pretty much possesses him and he becomes her.
Yeah.
But Michael Douglas, like, suddenly realizing that it's her and not Scott, the expressions on his face, how happy he was to hear her talking to him even through Scott Lang. Like, you're watching the scene and on the surface, it's utterly ridiculous and it's hilarious. But then you have Michael Douglas and you have Hope and just the love and that expression of joy on their faces and how much they miss their mom, or, you know, he misses his wife. And, you know, just... you get that so clearly right there, and it added so much. So it's amazing like that, even in that scene that is so hilarious and ridiculous on the surface, through the acting of Michael Douglas and Evangeline Lilly, like, there was so much heart in that scene. Like, oh my gosh, Mom, I miss you. It's like, it was so really good that through such a hilarious moment, we got that.
Yeah, and that was something we talked about when we came out of the movie, is that this thing balances the humor and the heart. It balances the things that need to be in tension to make a good movie, and it does it so well.
So does.
I mean, the example you gave where they have this heartwarming moment of, oh my gosh, it's Hope, it's Janet, we get to talk to Mom, we get to talk to our wife, yay! Everybody's so excited, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. The excitement and the just sheer joy the actors evince that they bring to the screen in that moment is just, you can reach out and touch it, and yet it's still Paul Rudd. It's not Michelle Pfeiffer.
So you're watching Paul Rudd act like Michelle Pfeiffer, right. And it's hilarious.
And it is really great. It makes you wonder how much Paul Rudd actually just sat there and in a room alone with Michelle Pfeiffer and studied her mannerisms and her patterns of speech and stuff, because it is so good. It is so well done. But that's where they balance the heart and the humor, and it's a great example of that, because that example of balancing heart and humor is done throughout the film. You see Scott Lang with his daughter, and you see them playing, and he is not hiding who he is from her. He's talking about his past, about how he used to be a thief, about how that you can see how that informs his ability to be a great security advisor, contractor kind of person.
Yeah, the new job he started with police.
You see all of these really great things, and you see him making an effort to reform and to be a good person so that his daughter has somebody to look up to, and so that he can be a stable element in her life. You also see him able to offer hope, no pun intended, to Hope.
Yep.
Because he, as a father of a little girl, is talking about his time in prison, and she's worried about, what if my mom's forgotten all about me? And he's able to help bridge that gap for her.
Yes.
Again, the humor and the heart are balanced so well in this film, and I can't say enough about that.
And again, with the humor and the heart, so you have Scott and Hope. They've been separated now for 2 years because he's been under house arrest. And so at the very beginning of it, you could see things are awkward. And they did a good job with the fact that she's mad. You didn't call me when Cap called you. Seriously? But at the same time, you see that she still really likes him and he still really likes her. But there's just this element of, well, is he going to leave me again? And then with him, there's this element of, she's the one and I screwed this up. And they did a really good job playing with that and mending it in a very believable way through this mission. And I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and it's helpful that he is there in her moment of need, right?
Yes.
That's what she's looking for. She's looking for somebody to come through for her in a very real way, because she lost her mom, and her dad, her dad is her dad. Hank Pym is not known in the comics world, or even in this world, for being the most approachable, the most likable person. So, she has this dad who, for good or bad, is who he is. Yep. And so she's dealing with that, and that's her life.
Yeah.
And so she's looking for somebody to be there, to actually be present, and to come through when she needs them to. And Scott does that.
Yeah,
Scott
he does
that in a very real way. He's there for the whole family, not just for Hope, but for Hope and for Hank and for Janet when she needs him. And so he comes through for everybody in this very real way. I'm going to jump through to the post-credit scene, because the first post-credit scene, there's two. One of them is pure humor. That's the second one. If you stay all the way to the end of the credits, you're just going to get silliness. Feel free. It's entertaining. But the mid-credits scene is actually it's a gut punch, and it ties this in with Infinity War, with the end of Infinity War, which is a really great way to tie it in.
I feel horrible for our brother-in-law Marshall, who had not seen Infinity War and then is watching this post-credits scene.
Yeah, so spoiler, if you haven't seen Infinity War, go see that first and then come back to this movie. Because that tie-in is so much more of a gut punch when you realize what it means.
Yeah.
Right? You see these bits of ash fluttering to the ground, and everybody who's seen Infinity War in the theater goes,
oh man, all of us. And the fact that it was Hank Pym and Hope and Janet, who we just got back, who turned into ash, leaving Scott alone in the quantum realm.
Right. And so here's the thing that's interesting to me. He's gotten out of the quantum realm by himself before.
But he's got a new suit, though.
He does have a new suit, and so maybe the new suit, he needs to figure some things out, but...
He can do it.
We also saw Janet get some really weird powers when she went into the quantum realm and stayed there for a while.
How cool would it be if he got something?
I'm a little curious to see what they do with that. So, we don't know what that's going to be, but I am tremendously curious to see what happens, because she talks about how being there for a long time changes you, and it's a little bit adaptation, a little bit evolution.
Yeah.
So there's a little thing.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, like how that would change Scott, like depending on how long he stays there before we get to Avengers 4.
Yeah.
And then time is different there and here. So a day could go by here, but he's been there for 10 years, so who knows?
Right, and it's the quantum realm, so everything's relativistic. It gets into weird realms of physics, and, and I'm a little curious, I'm a lot curious, actually, to see where they go with this.
I am too.
But that scene is a moment where they cannot come through for Scott.
Yes.
So Scott came through for them through this whole film. This whole film is him risking everything to come through for them. And at the very end, when he's going in to help somebody else, still trying to be the good, still trying to be a hero, still trying to be somebody, that can be looked up to, still trying to be all of those things, he turns around and gets abandoned, not intentionally.
No.
But he ends up abandoned.
But the whole
the quantum
Thanos
realm.
thing.
Right.
Gosh.
So there's this moment of absolute confusion where you're looking at it and you're thinking, how is he going to get out of there? How is he stuck? What happens now? Where does the world go? Like you said, what happened to his daughter? Is she okay?
There's so much it leaves you wondering, but that's what I loved about it. So the movie kept its tone.
Yes.
It was hilarious and it was fun, but all the while you're like, okay, but Infinity War happened, and that's the game changer. So how does that come into play? But what this movie did so smart was it saved the tie-in for the post-credit. So the movie can be the movie.
Yes.
And have all that stuff, but then you get to that mid-credit scene, and it just sucker punches you.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, that happened.
Yeah, Infinity War happened.
And it's like, oh crud, everybody is impacted by this. And so I didn't think about Scott being in there long enough to be affected the way Janet was, or get some sort of abilities and stuff. So that will be really interesting to see. I've been thinking the quantum realm has to play some part in Avengers 4, especially the whole time thing. Maybe that's how they'll save everybody. I don't know, but
yeah, I'm not sure about that, and it's all speculation at this point anyway, because the Infinity Wars in the movies have happened differently than they happened in the comics.
Yes.
And so everything is a little disconnected, which is good, because then Marvel leaves us not able to predict what they're going to do
next. And I love that. Yeah.
And I like that, because it means that all of us who love comics and are like, oh, I could just go pick up the Infinity Gauntlet series. No, you can't just go pick up the Infinity Gauntlet
because they're doing their own thing. Right, that's so smart.
They might have pulled a little bit from here and a little bit from there and just this tiny bit from over here. And so there's like 6 different stories that they're pulling from. And you're not really sure how it's all being put together or how they're making the soup. And I like that. I like that we're left guessing. And like you said, I like the fact that this movie gets to be its own movie. It gets to stand alone. It gets to balance heart and humor. It gets to be this kind of light romantic comedy with superheroes and action and a little bit of fun stuff. And then at the end, it delivers the swift punch to the gut that reminds you that, yes, this is part of a larger Marvel universe. There is this bigger thing that happened. By the way, people disappeared in the snap of a finger, and good heavens, we're all just left trying to clean up the mess that was done. And
yeah, so it's cool because it got to be its own film, and it gave us enough with Infinity War that now we're still on the edge of our seats of what's coming next. Yeah. What is next for this MCU? So I really just can't wait to see where things go from there. Yeah. What did you think of Ghost and Lawrence Fishburne? Lawrence
Fishburne's character I thought was interesting in that he is so empathetic.
Yeah.
He's he cares so much about Ghost. He's left. In a way, he feels like he's been clean. He seems like he feels like he's been cleaning up Hank Pym's messes.
Yes.
Right?
So he's bitter towards Hank, but has a respect for his work.
Right. He understands that Hank is probably the smarter man, that Hank is probably the bigger genius, and that comes through in the way that the two interact and things like that.
Yeah.
But it also does different things in terms of his empathy for this character Ghost is palpable in that he doesn't want to leave people behind.
Yes.
Which then begs the question of what happened to him in Ghost when Thanos snapped his fingers, because now you're left trying to figure out, did Thanos just wipe him out and Ghost is left?
Or did Ghost get wiped out right after they save her? And,
right. But she's a woman who has no qualms about killing because she was basically trained as a Hydra agent, though she didn't know it. She thought she was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, and we're back to the whole Black Widow thing.
Yep. See, here's what I thought was going to happen. And this was so well done. So when Ghost had that, I'm going to go get Scott's daughter.
Right.
And so it's like, oh, but we kind of already saw that in the first movie. But then it was awesome. Lawrence Fishburne just steps up and he's like, no. If you do that, you've crossed the line. Everything else you've done before, you were part of S.H.I.E.L.D. All right? I get that. You were made into a monster. But you don't have to be a monster. And if you cross that line right now willingly, then I'm done. And I won't help you.
Right.
And it changed the course of where the movie was going to go because of his empathy. Because he had empathy for Scott and for the daughter. And he desperately wants to help Ghost. And he'll let things go crooked. He'll let them go to an extent. But he won't let them go too far. Or he's the looming threat of, I won't help you. Like at the end when she starts taking the quantum power from Janet and she's about to die, and Lawrence Fishburne's like, don't do that! Hank and her are brilliant, and they can help you. Yeah. Let her come through. And so like all of that was such an interesting thing to me, on top of the fact Ghost was just so cool. Like going through things and karate, it was awesome.
Yeah, and watching these different characters who had similar abilities, right? With Ant-Man and the Wasp, they can shrink, they can grow, they can do all these crazy things. And that makes them really formidable in a fight, right? Yeah. Somebody goes to throw a punch, all of a sudden they're not
small,
there because
they
disappeared. And then they get big again and, headbutt you in the chin and you're on the ground because they knocked you out.
It's good.
It's really cool in that respect, but it's also interesting to watch with Ghost because she steps through matter, and so they'll get big and throw a punch, and they'll go right through her and come out the other side.
Like, what on earth?
And so there's this really great kind of equalizer involved there, where you've got people that are on a similar footing. Yeah. Where even characters like Iron Man had trouble with, during Civil War, there were characters who had trouble with Scott Lang as he got bigger, right? Yeah. Because he could do things that, sure, you've got a super suit. That's great. Grab super suit, smash, 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 smash. There's just this level of, look, guys, you got all kinds of fun tech, you got all kinds of fun powers, but at a certain point, you don't have enough to deal with a 65-foot person.
Right. Or 85 foot as he finally reached in this movie.
Right. So he tops out at 85 feet in this movie. I get the feeling he's just going to keep going bigger and bigger and bigger as the situation calls for it. Which does beg the question of what's going to happen when he and Thanos face off, because it's going to get messy real quick.
One last thing, because I think the only things we haven't talked about are Luis and his crew returning. And I thought Luis was freaking hilarious in this movie. Yeah. They used him better in this movie than they did in the first movie.
Which is saying something.
Yes, because they used him good in the first one.
They used him very well in the first film.
Yes,
I agree.
The truth serum.
Oh my gosh, the truth serum.
It's not truth serum. Does it make me tell serum. Me? Yes, then at the very end. And they're all sitting there spilling their guts. Oh my gosh. That part to me was a little bit like Wonder Woman at the end of Justice League when everybody's wrapped up in the lasso, but I didn't care. That was just hilarious.
You know what's funny to me about that is that that was what established Scott's company, right? Yeah. That's how they established Scott as a legitimate businessman. The people he's doing business with, they're all ex-convicts, but they all did this heroic thing in stopping these people who were very shady business people. Yep. They're the kind of people that Scott and his crew used to work for. Yes. So they ended up apprehending.
And now they create security to stop people like them from breaking in. So that was really smart to have them do that and bring those characters in that way. And then, what did you think of Sonny, the gangster? There are parts where I was like, yeah, this is really cool because it adds tension. And then there are other parts where I was like, him again? Gosh, just step on him. Gosh.
What I think was good about him is that he gave the filmmakers an element to work with that could keep the tension up. Yeah. Without forcing tension. Yes. Right? It was this element of...
Who's got the lab now?
Right.
Where's it at? Okay, we got to keep track of who's got the lab. Yeah, it was a shell game.
And in order for it to be a shell game, you have to have 3 cups. Right. And so they had to have a third party to be the third cup as they're shuffling the shells around. It was really cool in that respect. I think he was really well used. I think they used him effectively. I think they didn't overplay their hand on that, which
Yep.
would have been really easy to do.
It would have been, and they didn't, so that was good.
Right. But they played it just enough, and then they wrap him up in a nice, tidy little bow tie at the end of it, and give him as a gift to the FBI, and he's actually been pulling strings in the FBI all this time, so it's really great to see that happen.
Yep. And now he's got truth serum, so he's just sitting there telling them everything.
Yeah. it's really, really great to see the way that it ends up. And they take him off the board in a sense where he could easily come back onto the board as a player later. It's not, I've killed my enemy. It's none of that kind of thing.
He could come back and be a bigger threat later because he made mention that he's got other friends and stuff like that.
Right.
So like they saved it so he could be something bigger in a third Ant-Man, or he could just be done. And either way, we're happy.
Right, or he could be the thing that brings in bigger threats later on.
That's right. Yeah.
And so there's this really great. They played that hand really well.
Yeah.
They played the shell game, and they played the shell game well enough that we could keep track of, button, who's got the button.
Yeah.
We could keep track of who's got the lab.
But it was fun watching the characters try to keep track. Who's got the lab? Who's chasing who? Wait, where's our rendezvous? Can we get to the rendezvous? Hank Pym is in the freaking quantum realm. We got to get the building big. Like, it was just really good.
Right. And there's so many great moments like that in this film where you would see something happen that played into something that happened before, or that is setting up something that's going to happen later, and everything is playing against everything. It's a very well put together film. I feel like the filmmakers did a really great job on this one.
Yeah, I do too.
Knocked it out of the park.
So I gave this movie an A. What is your grade?
I'm going to agree with that. I think this is a solid A movie. I highly, highly recommend seeing it.
Did you see Ant-Man and the Wasp? I hope you did if you're watching this video, because we just spoiled the entire movie. So
Just about.
If you saw it, what did you think? Be sure to let us know in the comments your thoughts. Did you like it? Did you not like it? And tell us why. As Sean Chandler says on his channel, the why is the most fun part. So let us know why you liked it or you didn't like it. While you're down there doing that, hit the subscribe button to become a Durbanian. Hit the bell by the subscribe button so you're notified the very next time I drop a movie review like this. I'm going to rank all 20 Marvel movies later this week, and I'm really excited to rank them all worst to best.
Oof.
Oh, it's kind of fun, though.
That's going to be difficult.
In fact, I've done it 3 times, means I don't have to talk as much this time, too, because all my reasoning is already in 3 other videos.
There you go.
So I'm going to drop that later this week. So, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so you're notified when videos like that drop. I'm Durbin.
I'm Daniel.
Thanks for checking out Durbania.